From the Marvin Gethers case to the North Charleston mayoral election next year, I sit down exclusively with North Charleston mayoral candidate Pastor Thomas Dixon for a special edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And be sure to download the free Quintin's Close-Ups app in your Apple or Google Play stores. And listen to this interview later on iHeartRadio.
Mr. Thomas Dixon,
Quintin Washington.
how are you?
I'm doing well, sir, and yourself?
Oh, I'm doing great, actually.
It's an honor and a privilege to be sitting here with you today.
Well, thank you greatly.
Yes, Charleston's premier and the best
Well, thank you.
journalist,
Oh, I
video
appreciate
journalist in the area.
Oh, I thank you so much coming from me. I really appreciate it.
I'm serious.
Oh, thank you.
I'm not into telling tales.
I know you're right.
I'm not into shining up to people. That's not what I do.
But, I know that you are out here helping the community, and you're also actually running for mayor of North Charleston in 2019.
Yes.
Which is a little bit more than a year away from now.
Mm-hmm.
But I got to come to you with some developing news.
Okay.
And I want to go off the headline from the lowcountrysource.com. It reads this: activists push back against CCSD on pedophile scandal. You said this on September 25th on your Facebook page, quote, "Those who sat on the CCSD, Charleston County School Board, when this abomination, that's right, took place, and are still in charge of our children, are all going to be held accountable, period. Get ready. Shout out to those who have been putting in the quality work on this issue. Alvin Spates, Shaquem Arquette, and of course, Lewis Smith. You all are appreciated." Let's talk about this issue.
Mm-hmm.
Those are people who were on the Charleston County School Board. Where are they, and what should they be doing now?
Well, right now we have, from this incident that happened in 2014, there are, I think, 5 people still that are seated on the board right now who are still on the board. One who was the former chair at that time, Cindy Vine Coates. This whole issue with Marvin Gethers was, and the pornography that they found on his, child pornography that they found on his computer, and the fact that they retained him in the Charleston County School District, transferred him and gave him a promotion after knowing about all of this. It's something that we cannot, now that we found out about this, that we cannot allow it to be swept under the rug and pushed any further back. Someone needs to be held accountable for it, and it was the job of our school board to protect our children, not to overlook anything, not to say that we didn't know about it. I was in the military, I'm former Navy, and I learned early on that on a ship, the first responsibility for everything that happens on that ship is with the captain. There's liability. So with the chairman of the board at that time, and all of the other board members who were seated at that time, who didn't push this issue and say, this is just wrong for us to keep moving this guy around and putting our children in jeopardy, every last one of them needs to be held accountable. And we are definitely going to do that. We're working on some strategies right now in order to see just how we're going to move forward. Shout out to, as I said in the comment, shout out to Elvin and Shaquem and Lewis for the work that they've done already, and the work that they're going to continue to do along with us, I pray, as we move forward to hold the school board accountable finally for this particular issue. And those who are involved, in my opinion, are scheduled to face some harsh realities.
What are those realities in your mind?
Those realities are that if I couldn't trust them in 2014 taking care of our children, I can't trust them in 2018. They need to step down.
Let me go back to the Marvin Gethers alleged child porn case. What is it that you know now that you didn't know a month ago about this case?
Yeah, everything. Everything, really. It was just a month ago when the Live 5 report came out,
Right.
Exposing this abomination. Let's still put it out just as that this man was discovered having child pornography on his Charleston County School Board computer, discovered by accident. And instead of him being relieved of his position and anything at that particular time, they kept forward. They filed charges with the North Charleston Police Department. Those charges were never made it to court because Mr. Gethers did pass 2017, I believe it was. before its court date, which that I don't understand either. It happened in 2017. Why wasn't it in court already? But this is a situation where a little over a month ago, it really wasn't exposed. And I'm so grateful that this was exposed. Those that are on the board, they can't say that they didn't know about it. I've seen some evidence that says that they knew about it. But they didn't say anything about it. And it's their obligation to the community. They serve this community. It's their obligation to make sure that the community is aware of, especially potentially threatening situations. You know, we want to go all out when somebody's got a gun and all this, yeah. But when you have an educator that is potentially going to do harm to our children, that is another priority that should have been handled and handled thoroughly at the time that it happened. It should be no way that we should find out after the fact, a little over a month ago, by a Live 5 investigative reporter, that this happened in our school district.
I keep asking people this, and I'm getting different answers.
Mm-hmm.
But why the politics in something so serious like this? I believe it was 34 days before he got arrested by the North Charleston Police Department,
Mm-hmm.
apparently. Why the politics?
The politics as far as the board members, or if you clarify a little bit, I got an answer for you.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, just him, from the time that the IT specialist found this alleged child porn on his work laptop,
Mm-hmm.
to him being arrested, why the gap?
That's a great question. Okay, why, not only why the gap, but why was he allowed to continue? And why was he promoted in that continuing? So he went on to, and this is not an allegation, to molest some of our students. Whatever it is it has to do with the board members, I'd love to ask them. I would love to sit and to find out from them. Why is it that they didn't pursue this? Because they keep saying they didn't know about it. They didn't know about it. They knew about it. That's an easy out that we see with anybody that's been backed in the corner. I've sat in many a courtroom, and I've been on the inmate side, and they always say, I didn't do it. I didn't know anything about it, even the guilty ones. So that question better asked probably to the board as far as the politics involved, but as far as the community and the politics, it says that we elected these officials to do a specific job. And the first priority in that job is to protect our children. The first priority. So why is it political for me right now? It's because they never needed to be reelected, those that have been reelected since, and they should not be reelected if they continue on to the next time they're up for reelection.
And at that particular time, Dr. Nancy McGinley was superintendent.
Mm-hmm.
Where is she in this discussion, in your mind?
I would like to see some type of accountability, but as you said, at that time, and that's why my conversation has consistently been on the seated board members, those that are still with the school board right now. So that's where my focus is right now. Maybe I'll get around to McGinley at a later time, maybe. But right now, it's the immediate protection of our children that I'm more concerned with. And these same people that I spoke of earlier that are seated on the board are still seated there, still charged with the task of protecting our children. And if I can't believe that they protected them in 2014, I sure as heck don't believe that they're protecting them now.
So, on a scale of 1 to 5, where is your trust level with the Charleston County School Board and the school district?
You want my trust level in 2014 or now?
Now.
I'll give you both of them.
Okay.
On a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being high trust and 1 being no trust, 2.
Let me ask you this. Obviously, you mentioned that you believe that some of the Charleston County School Board members knew about these allegations, that is.
Mm-hmm.
Who else do you believe knew about this? Was it the district attorney? Was it the human resource officer? Was it the communications officer in your mind?
Well, it's obvious that North Charleston Police Department knew about this. I mean, the reports were filed. There were probably quite a few people who knew about this, who said nothing about it, who just let this go. The question that always has raised in my mind is, who did Mr. Gethers know? That's the question that I have. That he was allowed to, it was minimally disciplined, and then turned around and given a promotion and assigned to an elementary school in charge of our children where he had even greater access to them. Who did he know? That's the question that I would really like to have answered. because not everybody gets that type of treatment. And if it was a favor thing or whatever, that needs to be brought out also. I really just wish that the seated board members, and I go back to the seated board members, would just come forth and say, okay, there's always retribution, there's forgiveness in those who admit the sins of the past. I can go along with that. I might still stand with the same principle that, you need to get off this board, but at least to be able to hear from their mouths their complicity in this issue, and not only the school board, but I do believe that I don't know how far it went beyond the North Charleston Police Department, whether they made it into the solicitor's office or whatever. I haven't found that out yet. We've got some meetings, and we're still in the fact-finding stage in the community. So I'd like to see just how far it went, because that will indicate how far the cover-up went also.
I hate to ask you questions that I should be asking people at 75 Calhoun School District, but let me ask you this, okay? Have you heard how was the working relationship between the North Charleston Police Department and the Charleston County School District with issues like this in your mind?
I actually haven't heard about how that synergy has been.
Okay.
But let me just say this, as you did say, I am running for mayor of North Charleston. One of the things that I'm going to ensure as mayor is that North Charleston's presence is going to be not only known within Charleston County School District, but respected. Thus far, I don't know what the current mayor has been doing with that position. I don't know whether they're in collusion when it comes to the poorer schools, the public schools in North Charleston. I don't know what's going on. But as of November 5th, 2019, that dog ain't gonna hunt no more. Charleston County School District is going to take care of well our students in North Charleston without any kind of neglect. We have the highest tax base in the state. We contribute the highest amount of monies into the school system, and we're going to be taken care of as such. Our funds are not going to feed schools in Mount Pleasant or any other places, okay? We get taken care of first, and our children foremost, and that means all of our children, regardless of race, creed, geographic location, zip code, or whatever. I don't care where they live at. They're going to be taken care of and taken care of well. So how that has worked prior to now, it's one of the reasons why I'm running for office.
Okay.
I'm really, let's pass to this. I was getting ready to say something I shouldn't have said. I'm really ticked off because of the fact that there has been neglect in North Charleston because of through the school system and other systems.
Okay.
Areas where I know that City Hall does not have control over the school district, but that's a powerful bully pulpit in that mayor's office. And I can tell right now, because of the things that have happened, such as this Gethers incident, such as the failing schools in North Charleston, that bully pulpit that the current mayor has, he's never used it for the benefit of the people. As of 2019, November 5th, that whole thing is going to change up.
Let me ask you two more questions related to the Marvin Gethers case. Obviously, there's been talk about the choosing of the law firm as far as investigating this whole, case altogether. I know Hollenshed, when I spoke with him on Saturday, basically said, "Hey, I want to use Edward Curry law firm." I almost pronounced the name wrong, and some other law firm out of Columbia. Are you comfortable with the law firm that the school board chose, or better yet, should the school board have been given an opportunity to vote on the law firm in your mind?
I think the selection of the law firm that's going to investigate them should have been taken out of their hands totally. I have a criminal past, and never once was I allowed to pick my jury, those who are going to pass judgment on me, because that would present a one-sided jury pool. I would pick people that will vote in my favor. I think anybody would, in any type of situation, if there's any kind of wrongdoing, would select people who are going to vote in their favor. So in the school district selecting this law firm, it opens up the door, whether it's going to happen or not, whether it's going to happen that way, it opens up the door for the possibility of them selecting someone that will come in and side with them but not say so. Ultimately, it'll be the same type of other situations we've run into in the past where we have investigations done, know there's wrongdoing, but in the end, those who should have been held liable for the situations wind up getting set free. We've seen it in law enforcement, we've seen it in all type of situations in our local and state government and federal government. So it's time now for us to demand as a community that investigations, anytime there's wrongdoing, that the investigating force does not be selected by the accused, those that have been accused of a problem. They need to be addressed or selected by an impartial panel of people. And that's one of the reasons why I'm totally in favor of citizens advisory committees at all levels, not just with law enforcement or city government, but also with county school districts.
Okay.
If we had a group of people that the citizens had selected to oversee what's going on, and that's supposed to be what the school board does, right? But it's unfortunate that in this day and age, we have to have another watchdog committee to keep track of these other folks we've selected to take charge of our affairs. So I would like to see citizens review boards within the school district, citizens review boards that are effective within our municipalities, because North Charleston has one, and I love the folks that's on it, but I really don't see the effect that it's having. I think that's the only way that we're going to have fair and impartial decisions made for the constituents, for the people who are the taxpayers and the people who have the most concern. Far too often we see that organizations will select those to investigate them who are going to side with them. That has got to stop. We're not going to have any kind of justice if we keep doing that, and the people deserve justice.
And I hate to ask this question. I know you don't work for the school.
Whatever it is, don't hate to ask. You just let's go with it, Q.
You talk about the taxpayers. What estimation in your mind says this is going to cost X amount of money?
I don't know. But in this case with the Marvin Gethers, with the Gethers case, no matter what it costs in order to bring justice to the table, it needs to be done, because it didn't have to get to this point. It should have been handled 4 years ago. But instead, now here we are 4 years later just finding out it now we've got to come out of pocket in order to make it right. That's the problem with not handling things when they happen, not bringing justice when those things happen. There's a cost down the road also, not only the physical cost of those that were affected, because not only were, in my humble opinion,
Okay.
that the two people that we know about, the two children that we know about that were molested or allegedly molested in this situation, that there were others. There were others. My mind says there were others. And we're looking to find those others. And if we do, then we're going to definitely just expose the school board. But had they done the right thing then, that's what North Charleston, let's look at it. If North Charleston had done the right thing when they purchased Naval Hospital for $2 million and done the renovations in Naval Hospital in order to bring it to the place where it'd be that social justice hub, where people could go for all the services that they need. There'd be housing for the homeless instead of leaving it out on the street. There would be women's programs and a place to house battered women or battered spouses at. All of these things right in there for $2 million. We could have spent the $66 million and still just come up with $68 million instead of paying out of pocket $31 million here, this, that, and instead they took $5 million when they sold it. I'm not exactly sure where that $3 million over the $2 million where that went to, but it's the same thing. When we don't do the right thing up front, there's a cost to pay on the back end. So with the case of Gethers, 4 years later, finding out about this, unfortunately, the taxpayers are going to have to pay for it. Now we can factor in some other things that but really our school board, they don't make a lot of money. They don't make a lot of money. Had they made a lot of money, maybe we could have just taxed them for paying for this investigation out of somebody that we select to investigate them.
When you talk about the school board, obviously there are a lot of, actually there's one big election coming up in November.
Yes.
Obviously there's open seats from East Cooper to the West Ashley areas in North Charleston. Who should be on the school board in your mind?
Anybody but those that are up for re-election right now. I would say that, I would put that right out there, just like that. The ones that we have that are seated right now, that are up for re-election, I would like to see them repealed and replaced with people in the community that I know that have a heart for the community, that are not going there to have backdoor deals and meetings and things like that, without the, and doing things outside of the public eye. People who the public now, as of this election, November 6, 2018, the people will begin to understand greater their responsibility of holding this school board accountable and to be fully transparent with their actions.
Okay.
That's the only way that our children are going to have the best care taken for them and the best leadership out of the school board. Right now, I have a vote of no confidence with the board as it's seated, of the returning members, the members that are up for election right now. I've got a couple that I'll stand firm with right now, but for those that are up for re-election this year, vote them out. That's my humble opinion.
And you talk about the community. Obviously, you've been busy from the fair grocery store over to the Low Country Hard Walk.
Mm-hmm.
What is it like to be you, Thomas Dixon, the community activist?
It's a frustrating position, but it's a position that I believe that God gave me. I wasn't always this type of person. I spent over 40 years, well, 30 years of my adult life, 32 years of my adult life with everything revolving about me. I couldn't care less about the community or anything else going on, as long as it didn't affect me and mine. Well, I had to get mine. But after my awakening, after God saved me from me, He showed me that my worth in life was not about what I could do for myself, but what I could do for others. And that gave me that incentive to right the wrongs of history that I created. I did a lot of damage in my community over the 30 some odd years that I was out in those streets, a lot of damage, a lot of which I'll never be able to recover, a lot of apologies I'll never be able to make. But when I was granted release from the lifestyle that I was in, because I prayed for that release, it was instilled in my heart to do everything I could or everything I can to right those wrongs, to correct what is done. So coming out of the prison system, I started working, trying to reduce recidivism, trying to bring about prison reform. This was 2001. Hit the streets running, come out of the prison system. Trying to reduce recidivism, folks going back into the system, because I felt like how could anybody truly talk about how to reduce the recidivism better than those who have been in the system. I haven't been in the system. But that whole vision evolved to, understanding the gun violence in the community coming from the projects of Chicago. I was over 30 years in Chicago in the projects, born and raised there. I've seen the gun violence. I've been shot at, whole nine. I know about guns in our community, and I know that as I developed in the social justice realm here in Charleston and talked to police and police chiefs and things, that I consistently heard tales about where the guns were coming from in our community, that I said to myself, for 30 years I lived in Chicago, that ain't how we got them. We got them because somebody rolled up in the community with guns and said, who wants one? And if you had enough little change to buy one, you could buy one. I don't care how old. A 3-year-old could buy one. Didn't make no difference. But I was told by our local police chief, especially our North Charleston police chief, that no, I was wrong. I didn't know anything I was talking about. And so now we see after all these years, we see this drastic rise in gun violence because nobody listened. Nobody listened. But my that whole vision from the working prison reform, reducing recidivism. I had some experiences on my job coming out of prison where I was let loose that actually opened up the door for me to learn more about the fight for 15 and the necessity of living wages. Also the fact that this being an at-will state where you just get fired for any reason from your job, I learned about those things and how difficult it is for ex-offenders to go and get jobs because banning the box is not a reality in South Carolina. And then expanded to all of the other things, Medicaid expansion, equal rights for all. That was always on my table. But then that key factor became reducing gun violence. But there are more ways to kill a person or a person's dreams than through gun violence, though. Lack of education, adequate public education, education that we don't have to pay for, that a child should be able to get up and go to their neighborhood school and receive a quality public education. That's a problem. The family structure, being able to get family members, mothers and fathers, when the fathers are still in the homes, to understand their value and their worth, so the mothers can teach their daughters their value and their worth, that they're not what the system says they are, what society says they are. They're not what the rap music says they are. No, they're better than that. We have queens and kings in our neighborhoods. Our children are young princes and princesses, and they need to understand that. And so from the position of the chief in North Charleston, as mayor of North Charleston, to be able to bring that message to our community through public service announcements and other visitations, through to show the family structure in my household. We have our flaws, but my wife and I, we've been married now for 35 years. We've been together for 42 years. Both of our children are grown. Both of them are married. One grandchild for each side. And they're stable, working people. But to bring that image of a black family, a solid black family, to North Charleston City Hall, so that the less fortunate in our community can begin to start changing the mindset. If you change the mindset, you change not only the man and the woman, but you change the community. We can fix North Charleston. We can bring North Charleston and make North Charleston the place that the world will look to as an example of how this is supposed to be done.
Pastor Thomas Dixon, thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate this.
I appreciate you, Quintin, the work you do. You're amazing.
Oh, thank you greatly. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I'm working hard every day.
I know. I just, I appreciate you. I appreciate the community that we have, because it's a community that's not afraid to address the issues. We just haven't gotten to that point where the issues that we are addressing, that we're receiving adequate satisfaction in resolving these issues. And that's another reason why I'm running for office. I have to. My voice has been ignored for too long. They can ignore Pastor Dixon all they want when it comes to gun violence, when it comes to education, when it comes to living wages. But as of November the 5th, 2019, they're not going to be able to ignore Mayor Dixon. And all of the things that I've championed before. Anybody ask me about my platform, Google Pastor Thomas Dixon, and you'll see what my platform is. It's the things that I've been doing for this community for years, while other people have just been sitting back talking about it, if they did that much.
Thank you.
Quintin, thank you.
Anytime.
I really appreciate you.
You're welcome.
All right.
Yeah, man.